Ivana was just 16 years old. That day, the sun was very hot, and she was down on her knees, scrubbing the dirty floor of the compound with her bare hands. Sweat poured down her face, and her back ached, but she didn't stop. Her stepmother, Noria, had given her the order, and Ivana knew what would happen if she didn't obey. Suddenly, a sound came from inside her wrapper. It was her small phone, the one she had secretly saved up for and kept hidden. Her heart started beating fast. Who could be calling? She looked around quickly, then slowly reached for it. With shaking fingers, she answered and whispered, "Hello?" A voice began, "Hello, is this?" But before the caller could finish, a loud slap hit her cheek so hard it made her head spin. Her phone flew from her hand. Noria was standing there, eyes full of anger. Without saying a word, she grabbed the phone, threw it on the ground, and crushed it with her heel. Ivana watched in silence, her cheek burning and her heart sinking. She didn't even know who had called or why. The call ended before she could hear anything, but deep inside, something told her it wasn't just any call. That voice, those few words, felt different, like it was something important, something that could have changed her life. She had no idea how true that feeling was. That call she couldn't finish, that voice she didn't get to hear, was the first spark in a fire that would later turn her world upside down and lead her to a future she never imagined. It wasn't just a missed call, it was the beginning of her destiny. Since Ivana's mother died, her life had never been the same. She used to be a happy, smart girl who loved school, books and laughter. But after her mother's death, everything turned dark. Her father didn't stay single for long. He married a woman named Noria, a woman who smiled in public but had a cold heart at home. Noria didn't marry for love. She married Ivana's father because of his small status and house. And once she moved in, she took over everything. Slowly, she turned Ivana into a maid. Ivana was no longer treated like a daughter. She was given chores from morning to night, cooking, sweeping, washing clothes, and cleaning every corner. Noria didn't let her go to school. She said, "What does a girl like you need education for?" She wasn't allowed to have friends. Nobody was allowed to visit her. Even laughter was a problem. If Noria ever heard her giggling or humming a song, she would shout or slap her. Her room was small and dark, with just one pillow and a torn blanket. Every night, Ivana cried silently into her pillow, wiping her tears before anyone could see them in the morning. The only thing she truly owned was a torn old math book, a gift from her real mother, and her mother's last words, whispered in her ears before dying. "One day, your light will blind them." Ivana held onto those words like treasure, repeating them in her heart whenever she felt broken. But what Ivana didn't know was that her mother didn't just leave behind a memory or a math book. Somewhere in that house, behind dust and shadows, was something more powerful. A secret meant only for her. Something her mother had hidden, waiting for the right time. A gift that would one day help Ivana break free from her cage and show the world who she really was. One hot afternoon, Ivana was sent to clean the dusty old attic. It was a place nobody really entered, full of cobwebs, broken furniture, and old boxes. While sweeping in the corner, she noticed something unusual sticking out from under an old wooden chest. She bent down and pulled out a small, faded envelope. Her heart skipped when she saw her name written on it in familiar handwriting. It was her mother's. Hands shaking, she opened the envelope carefully. Inside, there was a simple drawing, a sketch of a girl reaching for the stars, and a short message: "Keep creating. Your gift will speak louder than any chains." Tears filled Ivana's eyes. Her mother hadn't just left her alone in this world. She left her a sign, a message of hope. That day, something changed in Ivana. A small fire lit up in her heart. She remembered how she used to love drawing as a child, before life became about scrubbing floors and holding in tears. That night, using a piece of charcoal from the firewood area and the back of old cardboard boxes, she began to draw again in secret. Drawing became her escape. It made her feel alive. She sketched faces, hands, birds, even pictures of her mother from memory. Each drawing felt like freedom. And one day, something unexpected happened. She was taking out the trash early in the morning when she noticed a man standing quietly by the street, observing the neighborhood. His face looked calm, thoughtful, different. Without thinking much, she took a small piece of charcoal from her pocket and, on a nearby wall, began to sketch his face. It took her just a few minutes. She didn't know he was watching her from behind. That stranger was not just any man. His name was Malik Ose, a famous photographer from the city, known around the world, but visiting the area without revealing his identity. He was shocked by the perfect way she had drawn his face. There was something raw, powerful, and emotional in her art that he hadn't seen in a long time. Malik didn't say a word right away, but in that quiet street, with one girl holding a piece of charcoal and one sketch on the wall, Ivana's life was about to take a huge turn. She didn't know it yet, but her gift had just been seen by the one person who could help her escape her painful world. Malik couldn't stop thinking about the girl who had drawn his face so perfectly on the wall. There was something in her sketch, something deep, emotional, and powerful. It stayed with him. He took a picture of the artwork and kept asking around the neighborhood until someone quietly told him the girl's name was Ivana. That name rang a bell in his mind. Later that night, when he returned to his hotel room, he searched through some old files his assistant had saved from a lost memory card found at a small local gallery. That memory card had been handed in weeks ago, found on a bus, left behind by someone unknown. The portfolio inside had no name, just powerful sketches that had impressed Malik and his entire team. They had tried to contact the artist by calling the only number found written on a tiny note inside the sketch folder, but the call never went through properly. Now, Malik realized something shocking. The sketch on the wall, the name Ivana, and the voice on the phone that never finished the call. They were all the same girl. She was the artist they had been searching for all this time. Without wasting time, Malik wrote a letter offering to sponsor Ivana's education, promising to help her develop her art and even showcase her work in a gallery. He carefully wrote down the address of his office and tucked some money inside the envelope. Then, he gave it to a trusted delivery man to drop off at Ivana's house. But when the letter arrived, it never reached her hands. Noria, her stepmother, saw the envelope first. She opened it out of curiosity and grew furious when she read it. The thought of Ivana rising, shining, and leaving her control burned her with jealousy. Without even showing it to Ivana, Noria tore the letter into pieces and threw it into the fire. Ivana never knew someone had reached out. She never knew her talent had finally spoken loud enough to be heard. She kept wondering why nothing changed, why nobody came back. But fate wasn't finished with her story. Even though that message was lost in flames, the truth was already spreading, and one way or another, destiny was coming back for her. Every morning, before the sun rises, Ivana quietly slips out of the house. She walks carefully so the gate doesn't make noise. Her heart beats fast, not with fear, but with excitement. For the first time in her life, she is doing something for herself. Malik meets her in a small corner of the neighborhood where no one usually goes. He teaches her how to hold a camera, how to capture light, and how to bring emotion into a picture. He shows her how to use a laptop to design, to draw with color and style, and even how to use simple tools to edit and tell stories through art. Ivana listens with her eyes wide open, soaking in every word like it's magic. She practices every day. Her hands are learning, her mind is opening, and her heart is growing with hope. For the first time, she feels seen. For the first time, she believes she has a future. Her smile comes more easily now. Even her skin begins to glow, not from cream or powder, but from the happiness within. But Noria starts to notice. She notices the change. Ivana doesn't look like a broken girl anymore. She looks like someone who is dreaming again. That makes Noria angry. She watches her closely. One night, when Ivana quietly leaves again, Noria follows her. She walks in the shadows, hiding, waiting. And then, she sees it. Ivana laughing beside Malik, holding a camera, looking free. Noria rushes out and shouts. Her voice echoes through the street. She drags Ivana by the arm, screaming, "You want to disgrace me? You want to become like your useless mother?" Malik tries to calm her down, but she turns to him and says, "Stay away from her. You don't know who she is." Ivana tries to speak, but Noria slaps her in front of Malik and the small crowd that gathers. That night, Noria locks Ivana inside the house. She tells her she'll never leave again. But something inside Ivana has changed forever. She has tasted freedom. She has seen who she can become, and no matter how thick the walls, her spirit has already escaped. The battle has started between control and freedom, and Ivana is no longer afraid to fight. Ivana sat on the cold floor, her eyes red from crying, her cheeks still sore from the slap. She waited all day for her father to come home. When he finally walked through the door, she ran to him, holding his hand tightly. "Papa, please," she said with tears rolling down her face. "Please talk to Noria. Please help me. She's killing my dreams. She hates me. But her father couldn't look her in the eye. He looked down, sighed deeply, and said in a soft, tired voice, "Ivana, it's not the right time. Just endure. Things will get better." Those words broke her more than any slap ever could. Ivana felt like the walls of the house were closing in. She went back to her room, the one with no real bed, only a mat. She stared at the ceiling all night, her heart full of pain, anger, and confusion. Then, just before dawn, she stood up. Quietly, she folded her one dress and the torn math book. She picked up the old drawing her mother left, the one that said, "Keep creating. Your gift will speak louder than any chains." She pressed it close to her chest, like a shield for her heart. With no shoes on her feet and no clear plan, Ivana opened the back door and stepped into the dark morning. The ground was rough, but her heart was strong. Every step away from that house was a step towards something new. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she couldn't stay. When Malik opened the gate of his sister's house in the next town and saw her standing there, barefoot, dusty and shaking, he didn't ask questions. He just said, "You're safe now." His sister gave her a warm meal, a small room, and something she had never truly known, kindness. Ivana lay on the small bed that night, still clutching her mother's drawing. Her feet were bruised, but her spirit was alive. She had chosen herself. She had walked away from silence. She had walked toward freedom. Months passed quietly, but for Ivana, each day was full of light, learning, and hope. She woke up early, helped around Malik's sister's house, and spent the rest of the day drawing, designing, and learning photography. She practiced with anything she could find: old pencils, broken cameras, even her fingers in the dust. Malik taught her everything he knew, and Ivana soaked it all in like a dry sponge meeting water for the first time. She stayed away from social media, away from the noise, and focused only on her gift. Then one day, Malik showed her a flyer, a national art competition. It was big. Thousands would enter. The winner would get a full scholarship and a chance to travel abroad for an art program. Ivana felt fear rise in her chest. "I'm not ready," she whispered. But then she remembered her mother's words, "Your gift will speak louder than any chains." So, with shaking hands and a brave heart, Ivana drew her story. The drawing showed a girl with a swollen cheek, eyes full of pain, but behind her was a rising sun, bright, bold, and golden. She didn't put her name, she just titled it, "Still I Rise." Weeks later, she was cleaning dishes when Malik ran into the kitchen, shouting, "You won! Ivana, you won!" She dropped the plate in shock. The news was everywhere. The portrait had gone viral. People were sharing it, talking about it, crying over it. They didn't know who the artist was, but they felt her pain, her power, and her strength. Finally, the day came when Ivana had to step forward. At the award event, she walked onto the stage, heart pounding, hands cold. But when she took off her hoodie and the crowd saw her, the girl from the drawing, they didn't see shame. They saw bravery. They saw a survivor. They saw an artist. The applause was loud, but what Ivana heard most clearly was her mother's voice in her heart. "One day, your light will blind them." That day had come. The village that once watched in silence suddenly could not stay quiet anymore. After Ivana's powerful portrait went viral and people learned her name, reporters started coming to her hometown. They wanted to know more about the girl behind the art, the pain, and the rising sun in the picture. Everyone was talking about her story. When Noria heard reporters were asking questions, she quickly changed her attitude. She stood in front of cameras, smiling fake smiles, pretending to cry. She told them she had always supported Ivana, that she had raised her like her own child, and that she was proud of her daughter's success. But lies don't last forever. One of the neighbors, an old woman who had watched everything over the years, came forward. "I saw that girl scrubbing the floor while others went to school," she said. "That woman treated her like a slave." Soon, more neighbors started speaking up. Some had secretly recorded Noria shouting, insulting, and even slapping Ivana. The videos began to spread. People were angry. The truth was finally breaking free. The Ministry of Women's Affairs saw the news and sent a team to investigate. They questioned people in the village, gathered proof, and took action. Ivana's father was called in and given a strong warning for allowing abuse under his roof. Noria was removed from her position in the community council and lost all respect. She couldn't hide anymore. Everywhere she went, people whispered. Her shame was public now. Ivana didn't smile at her fall, but inside, she felt peace. Justice had come, even if it was late. Her voice, once silenced by fear and pain, had now grown louder than Noria's cruelty, and the world had listened. The sun was setting slowly, painting the sky in soft orange and pink, just like the colors Ivana once used in her first sketches. She sat quietly on her toes in the sand, holding her phone close. It was the anniversary of her mother's death, a day that always made her chest feel heavy. But this time, there was something different in the air, something lighter, something beautiful. As the waves touched the shore gently, her phone started to ring. For a moment, she just stared at the screen, remembering that first call she couldn't answer, the one that was crushed by Noria's slap and hate. But this time, she wasn't scared. Her hand didn't shake, her heart didn't race. She smiled softly and answered. A warm voice spoke from the other side. It was someone from a top international art institute. They had seen her work, heard her story, and followed her journey. They were offering her a full scholarship to study art in Ghana, along with her very own exhibition to showcase her portraits to the world. "Your talent is powerful," the voice said. "The world needs it." Ivana's eyes filled with tears, not of pain, but of deep joy. She couldn't believe it. From being treated like a maid, beaten and silenced, to now being recognized beyond her country's borders. She had made it. Her gift had broken all the chains. She slowly stood up, looked out at the endless ocean, and held the phone to her chest. Then she raised her face to the sky, where the stars were beginning to show, and whispered, "Mama, we made it." The wind carried her words gently, as if her mother had heard and was smiling back from above. Ivana stood tall, in the middle of the gallery in Lagos, dressed in a simple but elegant gown, her natural hair shining under the lights. All around her, walls were filled with powerful paintings, each one telling a story of pain, strength, and victory. Young girls from shelters, orphanages, and broken homes stood beside their own pieces, their faces bright with pride. Ivana had taught them not just how to paint, but how to speak through color, shape, and light. She had become more than an artist. She was now a mentor, a voice, a hope. Many of the girls called her Big Sister Z. She gave them what she once lacked: encouragement, belief, and a place to belong. As the night grew louder with applause and camera flashes, Malik walked up to her with a proud smile. The same Malik who had believed in her when she was still hiding sketches in the dark. He leaned in and asked, "Do you regret picking up that call?" Ivana looked around, the girls smiling, the audience clapping, her artwork shining, and then looked back at him. Her smile was soft but powerful. "That slap," she said. "It hurt, yes, but it also woke me up. It reminded me I had something to fight for. And the call? It gave me a new name. It gave me a voice." The cameras flashed again. Her name was now on magazine covers, trending hashtags, and global invitations. But more than that, it was written in the hearts of young girls who now believed they were more than their pain. Ivana, once silenced, had become the voice of a generation. And as she stood there, glowing like the morning sun, the girl who was once broken had become unbreakable. Fade out. If this story touched your heart, don't just scroll, share it. Let the world know that no voice is too small and no dream is too far. Tag someone who needs to hear this. Follow for more powerful stories that turn pain into power. Your share could change a life today.